Welcome back to numbers 56 through 60 of my top records of all time. In the description are all the videos you've missed up until this point so you can catch up and know what I'm doing. So make sure you check those out. Make sure you strap in. We're about to go through 5 more iconic records. Stick around. Number 60, Death Cab for Cutie, Plans. Ben Gibbard is a wicked good songwriter. This isn't emo music, but it is for sure emotional. When I did my video with Dave Elkins from May, we actually bonded over Death Cab, who is a huge influence for their band. And we talked about how people are usually either fans of Plans or fans of Transatlanticism. And we love both those records, don't get me wrong, but we both unequivocally agreed that Plans is a superior album. In 2003, after Ben's success with Transatlanticism and his side project, the Postal Service, he decided to start working on Plans, and in 2005, we got this masterpiece. I think this is what propelled the band into a legendary status. Big singles like Soul Meets Body and Crooked Teeth really won over the public, but then they also had the mega hit, I Will Follow You Into the Dark, which is just heart-wrenching. The sleeper hit for me on the album, though, is What Sarah Said. If you haven't listened to that song, do me a favor, close your eyes, go in a dark room, listen on headphones, and listen to every lyric. It will tear you apart. It breaks you in a way that only Death Cab can. This record is just so good, and every time I hear it, it actually gets better. So I'm excited to see what I think of it in 10 years, but right now, it's definitely in my top 100. No limited variants, but a nice packaging job with a big gatefold and double discs. Number 59, Soundgarden, Badmotorfinger. This album is some of the heaviest grunge that I can regularly appreciate. It came directly before the band's breakout album, Super Unknown, and it encapsulated Seattle's music scene that gave birth to Nirvana, Mudhoney, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and of course, Soundgarden. The world was enraptured by Chris Cornell's alien voice as he shrieked over intense instrumentation, jolting audiences out of their mind and listeners at home to worship at the Church of Grunge. Chris is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, if not my favorite, and some of my top Soundgarden songs are on this album. The opening run of this record, Side A, is just ridiculous. Rusty Cage, Outshined, Slaves and Bulldozers, and Jesus Christ Pose. It melts your face, grabs you by the collar, and does not let go. This album is grunge, it's metal, it's amazing, and it's definitely something that you should listen to if you like rock. I have this cool lenticular cover of the record, which looks great. Not the limited silver version, which I actually heard mixed sound reviews on. Just the black, and I will say this repress sounds amazing. Number 58, Phoebe Bridgers, Stranger in the Alps. There's something very special about Phoebe Bridgers, and I still can't quite put my finger on it. Is it that both of our favorite bands are The National? Probably not. But that's likely a good reason as to why I connect with her so much on a songwriting level. Her voice is a specter, wailing and whispering storybook lyrics over incredibly tight instrumentation. Her work with Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus and Boy Genius is excellent as well, and of course her collab album with Conor Oberst, Better Oblivion Community Center, that I talked about in an earlier video. Her first and only record, Stranger in the Alps, has reached a mythical status to me despite only being out a couple years. This album makes me feel like an addict while listening to it, just waiting for that next burst of emotional energy. Chomping at the bit for LP2, which apparently she's recorded and is going to be out next year, and I'm very excited about it. This is the recent colored repress. I missed the original Lavender because I heard that it was not great sonically. I will say that this version, which I think does match the cover even better, this kind of black, wispy, translucent blue, sounds great. And this album deserves a pressing that sounds great because it's wonderful. Phoebe, you rock. The other cool thing about this record is that it has a cover of You Missed My Heart, which shows just how good of a taste in music Phoebe has outside of The National. That is a song from the collaboration between Jimmy LaValle of the album Leaf and Mark Kozelek of Sun Kil Moon, which is a kind of obscure record and a favorite of mine. And that's a great cut from it, and I'm just shocked it was included on her first studio album. I would love to go to a record store with Phoebe and just pick her brain. Number 57, Kanye West, Yeezus. What do Lou Reed, Paul McCartney, and myself all have in common? Give up? We all love Yeezus. It's no secret I'm a massive fan of Kanye's music. If you watch this channel, you know that he is one of my favorite artists of all time. And Yeezus was not his first foray with shocking his fan base with a new and unexpected sound. At first, people didn't know what to think, coming off the tales of the critical darling My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But now, years later, this is a bona fide classic. From the jarring, cacophonous synths that open the album, to Frank Ocean's beautiful outro on New Slaves, which contains some of Kanye's most passionate and aggressive bars to date, all the way to the amazing sampling of Nina Simone on Blood on the Leaves. This album never leaves you comfortable and gives you unexpected brilliance, track after track, and leaves you wanting more. I love this album because I got to see him twice around the time this came out, and I believe this album directly influenced how much I love him as an artist and what I think of his ability to extend beyond what you expect sonically. There's no official vinyl pressing of this, unfortunately. However, I have a cool bootleg. As you can see, they added the name of the album on the front. The front is supposed to be just a CD case, as I'm sure you've seen, with a red piece of tape, but that red tape has become iconic, and therefore this really nice red marbling is a great touch for the color of the bootleg, which sounds really good, by the way, and it's really cool, numbered out of 100. I got number 5. And finally, number 56, Simon and Garfunkel, Sounds of Silence. Simon and Garfunkel is arguably my favorite musical duo of all time. I get really sad every time I realize that I'm never going to get to see them perform live. Thankfully, though, we have all of their beautiful recordings to appreciate. Paul Simon was the driving force of the band and main songwriter, but I don't think he ever quite reached the pinnacles he did with Simon and Garfunkel as a solo artist because he was missing Garfunkel, who has the literal voice of an angel. They were the dream team. Until they weren't. All of their albums are amazing, and I wish I could include them all on this list, but for me, I had to pick their best collection of songs that isn't a greatest hits or compilation. Sounds of Silence wins. The titular song, Sound of Silence, opens the album on a really somber note, and I believe this is one of the most beautiful tracks ever penned. That, and April Come She Will, which is another unbelievably beautiful song towards the end of the record. Throughout the record, we get some other massive hits from the band's career, including Kathy's song, Richard Cory, and I Am a Rock. But the sleeper hit on the album, for me, is A Most Peculiar Man. It's a song where they play with harmony and tension to dance between vocal beauty and sad lyricism. It's captivating. I love this record, but the real question is, for my vinyl community, why is there no MoFi pressing of this? Why is there no audiophile version? This is an okay version. It's just a copy I picked up for a couple bucks once. It's a little beat up, little surface noise. This album deserves a 45 RPM pressing that will blow your sound system apart, despite how fragile the album is. One day we'll get it. MoFi, I'm looking at you. Let's do it. Alright guys, that's it for this part. We are inching closer to the top half of the list. I hope you guys have enjoyed what I've done so far. If you liked it, make sure you leave a comment. It helps the channel quite a bit if you leave anything in the comment section. So let me know your thoughts on my picks. Give it a thumbs up. And please be subscribed to Too Many Records. More coming at you soon. Take it easy.